to gather round. Get all the kids in the neighborhood. Yeah! We'll sit in circles and clap our hands and clap, clap, clap. We'll jump up and down and scream. Yeah! It's the serial killer story hour, and it's live with Pete Altieri. That's the bald guy from Murder Metal Mayhem. Come on, kids, scream out! Serial killer story hour, yeah! Serial killer story hour, yeah, yeah! How about one more time with some balls, kids? Yeah. Serial killer story hour, yeah! Horns high, high, high.
All right, what is up, everybody? Gotta love this new shirt I just got from TeePublic. I know I talk about them a lot because they sell our Murder Metal Mayhem merch, but this is just killer. Love this one. So see who's the first person in the chat to recognize either the actor's real name or the character he's playing right there. Either one. Drinking some coffee out of my Murder Metal Mayhem travel mug here. Just shamelessly plugging. But good to see you guys. Good to see you. Yeah, I know Karis was asking about the snow here. We don't get a bunch of snow where I live, but we get a decent amount. And usually the season starts, and it is what it is. It's winter, but it's not terrible. Up north further than they get more snow than I do where I am. But yeah, we got about 7 inches or so on Friday night going into Saturday. And then we went to get a couple inches last night or so. So yeah, it's just about 9 inches total over the 2 little storms we had. So, all right, I'm seeing people saying they recognize him, but they can't remember his name. Donna is correct. It is from The Sopranos. Very good. Very good. But, people are forgetting the guy's name. I get it. It's a side character, an important character, but, not one of the premier top shelf ones. Actually, one of my favorites, to be honest with you. Ray Liotta was fantastic, but I really like this guy who played, see if anybody can get it. We got A.R. Hayes here in the house. Good to see him. We were chatting earlier about some different things coming down the pike for both of us. So we'll be making some announcements, I'm sure, soon. But Jethro Troll said Boris. No, that's not it. So I want to say I recognize the people here early. Got misleading evidence here. Voice of Astrology, of course, with Karis. And we got Donna Lembo, the Mayhem Squad captain. She's just brutal. Does not let any nonsense go. So I appreciate her very much. Let's see. We start getting into some new people here. Jethro Troll, A.R. Hayes, and Isle of Shoals. Very good. Just really nice to see the people in here. I told Donna in an email that it's just really nice, when channel's been kind of slow. And it was Donna, or maybe it was Alicia. I don't recall now who I mentioned this to. Sorry, memory not the best. That it was, kind of I don't know. The channel's obviously kind of stalled with this Idaho 4 stuff. So me and AR were talking about that today, and it's tough because, If we do anything other than that, there's no views. So they're not putting us in the algorithm, so to speak, and not sure what it's about other than being down on the true crime stuff. But if you do Idaho 4 content, those guys are doing pretty good, and I'm not knocking the guys that are doing that. I'm just saying I don't want to do that. So that's cool if they want to talk about it. I'm just not interested anymore. It's just too much repeating the same things over and over and over. If some rock, crazy thing comes up or something brand new that nobody knew about, or somebody tells the true story or whatever, I would be all in, just like I would be with the Murdoch trial. I really loved following that Alec Murdoch trial. That was fascinating. So I did check out the David case. I know that somebody had recommended that, and I did check it out. It definitely interesting, and debating whether to maybe do it. But I just know that there's not going to be anybody watching it. That's what's frustrating. So anyway, looking at some other ideas, and like I said, fill you in on that when things become more solid. But I'm going to be doing some testing of a completely different channel unrelated to this. But if I do that, I'm not going to abandon this. I'm going to still do the lives with you, um, like this. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's just really tough to break through that kind of stuff because we don't have any control over it. Here we go, Mark and Betty. Excellent. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Got a good one tonight. I hope you enjoyed the one I did on what was that one we did, the UK one. I just did it. My mind is blank. But we just did a UK case. I know you guys were asking about one. Oh, the Fred and Rose West. Yeah, that was a brutal one. I hope you liked that because I did that for you guys. And doing this Australian case tonight because we've got a lot of Australian listeners too, viewers. We have the same on the podcast. Um, you know, then we did a lot of that too. So we're definitely all about the true crime stuff and just hoping something kind of grabs. This David case might be interesting because he's a semi celebrity. So you know how celebrity cases get a lot of attention. So it's possible and definitely brutal with the girl being chopped up in his trunk of his car. Hard to, hard to get away with that one, but apparently he's trying. So we'll see. But yeah, voice of astrology. When there's content saying Brian doesn't like bananas, they're not sounding desperate, are they? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm just not going to do. I'm just not going to do the stories like that. Idaho 4. I mean, I'm just not going to keep. I've got so many Idaho 4 videos on my channel. You can knock yourself out going through the playlist there, but I just cannot imagine. Because if I was doing it, I would be doing it solely just to get the views to get paid, which is why they're all doing it. But, I'm not going to do it. So that's just the decision that I made. I'd rather do this kind of thing for smaller groups, have a good time chatting about things, true crime and stuff. And if I do decide to do a second channel, like I said, I would do both of them. So yeah, voice of astrology again. Idaho 4 ad nauseum for sure, for sure. So tonight we're not going to get nauseous. Tonight we're going to get crazy. Well, you might get nauseous. I don't know. This guy's pretty wild. But we're talking about Ivan Milat. I'm wondering how many people have heard of this dude before I mentioned him for the episode last week. Anybody ever heard of Ivan Milat before? I'm really familiar with the Australian cases are fascinating. They got so many good ones. So we could spend a couple 3 months going through Australia because I've done a bunch of them. Snowtown, David Burney, and Catherine, I think Burney, his wife. Um, the Milat one we did. We did the shooting there. What was that? The park. Can't remember what that was called now, but we've done a bunch of them on the podcast side. So we get Maria says she never heard of them. So and Voice of Astrology. So good. I would like to pick the ones that you don't really know about, so that this way you guys can hear about something you've not heard 1,000 times, because you know that can get boring, and I don't want to do boring. Okay, so here we go. So this guy's known as the backpacker murder, and the backpacker is just what it means is what it is a person with a backpack on, hiking, that kind of thing. So in case you're like, what is that? Australia comes up with some really good ones for the different words. I always love when I do these episodes because there's always some good ones that come up. But the like the straight razor, like we call it here in the U.S., they call it the was it the throat cut razor or something like that. And it's like, wow, that's pretty badass. So they definitely have some good ones over there in Australia. But this guy's probably one of the more infamous to come from there. We're talking late 80s, early 90s. In Australia, the backpacker culture is like a big deal. And there's places where they meet, and a lot of people that come from different parts of the world that meet up here, and then they join like groups, and then they go and hike. So there's some camaraderie there, and it looked pretty cool. And these people go off and hike. It's beautiful. This Belangolo State Forest where this all was going on, which is south of Sydney, I believe. So yeah, I mean, this guy had a rough childhood, like a lot of these cases we talk about here. 14 children, my God. The fifth of 14 children. To say it was an overcrowded household is an obvious one, right? But God dang, I don't know how they slept 14 kids in a house. That's wild. The father was a Croatian immigrant, an alcoholic, a strict disciplinarian. So this guy was tough. Okay. Mother was Australian. And childhood behavior. I mean, this kid and the whole brood of them were wild. I mean, they were always vandalizing. Cruelty to animals was his thing. Antisocial type activities by himself, cruelty to animals, um, gets sent off to a boys' school, like a reformatory type place at age 13. So he's in trouble constantly. The other brothers were doing some of that too, but not all of them, because there was one I saw interviewed, the youngest, George, I think his name is. He said that there were several of them that weren't like that at all, but there were several that were. So there's 14 kids in this family. I'm not sure how many of them were boys, but he's playing with knives. He's good with a knife. He's using firearms. He's really headed for a bad way. For a bad way. You see that kind of character arc just dropping, with this dude. And it keeps escalating. Now he's a teenager, so now he's doing thefts, break-ins, some juvenile detention time. I mean, again, so he's kind of in and out of that juvenile system. 1960s, now he's getting repeated arrests for car theft, burglary, and armed robbery. So now he's doing some prison sentences. Okay, so he's in and out of prison. Okay, short periods of time, but it's kind of bouncing back and forth, kind of like the Trailer Park Boys, right? Every season, escalating violence and the lack of rehabilitation. Just not a a good dude to be around. Definitely had no control. He was also real big on, because he wasn't a real big guy. He was really into, and this is before prison even, his body. So he was always working out. So he was a pretty muscular guy, and he really liked that swagger. That he was tough, and he used to go to the gym, and and people would kind of like, whoa, that guy is kind of nuts. So he had definitely that that thing that people always talked about with the Milats, but especially Ivan. He gets married to Karen Duck, last name Duck, Duck, in '84, but they get divorced 5 years later because he's just out of control. And there's some domestic violence, big shocker. Okay. So now we're moving into the actual murders here. Okay. So 1989 to 92 is when this happened. This is like December 30th, I think, of '89. So at the very, very tail end of '89 is when he started. But he murders 2 men and 5 women. Okay. And it's the way he does this that is the most sadistic I think I've ever seen. Because I've seen some rough stuff, but this is bad. Okay. So he's preying on these foreign backpackers that are away from home. He's figuring, people aren't going to know exactly where they are, so he can get away with it. And he offers rides to them because a lot of them hitchhike. They spent some time in the documentary I watched talking to the parents of one of the victims, and they said, they always told her, don't hitchhike, and she hitchhikes, and this guy's, pretty friendly, can hide that really well, like any psychopath can, and he pulls it off, and they end up, going with him, and that's how this whole thing started. But the offering the rides, luring them to this forest, and then incapacitating them. And what I mean by that is he used a Bowie knife, which is a big knife. I mean, we're talking about like K-bar style, okay? At least a Bowie knife, and jabbed it into stabbed them in the lower back and severed their spine. So they had no feeling in the bottom half of their body. And then he would torture them and do all kinds of sick stuff, SA, and all of it. Okay. And all of it. And it would go on for days. Days this would be going on until eventually he was done with the victim or victims and killed them. And then he takes him out to the forest, which was close by, and half-ass buries them. This place is so huge. I mean, the odds of somebody finding anything there would be very remote, but he still, didn't really cover him very well. So yeah, that's what happens. And he was also using the 22 rifle to usually when he actually killed him. But there was Joanne Walters, or no, I'm sorry, that was the last one. The first one was Simone Schmidt. That was 91. Deborah Everest and James Gibson. That was the one in 80. I don't know why this list is all out of order. Sorry. Deborah Everest and James Gibson was 1989. That was the first one. So he would incapacitate both of them, and he would torture them both. And I'm sure that was just a horror show. And I've seen like pictures of these places where he was doing this, and it's messed up. And we're going to talk about a movie if you're interested to watch, and it shows how these things, how creepy it was in these places where he was doing what he was doing. And then Gaber Neugerbauer, wow, that's a tough one, and Anja Habschied in 91. And then the last two, Joanne Walters and Carolyn Clark, they're the ones from the UK that flew over there. That's the one where the parents told them don't take the, don't, hitchhike. 92, that was the last one. So really sad. Really sad. It was tough. I mean, you watch that interview with the parents, and it's heart wrenching, to see that. I can't imagine it as a parent myself. But he also would decapitate the victims sometimes, and to hide better their identity, because then they can't check dental and all that. Separate the two. Totally into sadism. Totally a control freak. This guy was off the rails, and that was his thing. He wanted full control. So the last interaction, or I'm sorry, this one was in 90. This is like all over the place with the dates. There was a case of a guy named Paul Onions, and that was the dude's last name. He was from the UK. Paul Onions got a ride from him. He was backpacking in 90. He gets picked up by Milat, and he ends up, Milat like pulls over, and he's like acting really weird, like he's trying to get something out of the back of his seat, like that was behind the seat. He was sitting in the passenger seat, or I'm sorry, it was the driver's seat because it's Australia. So it's on the right hand side. So he gets out, he reaches his hand behind the seat, and the kid looks, and it looked like a gun. And he's like, I got to get out of here. So good for him. He undoes his seatbelt and bolts and just starts running. But what was interesting is he was a Navy guy, or I don't know if he was still in the Navy, but he had been in the Navy. And he knew, because in the military, they always teach you if you're running from fire, you always want to like zigzag and like erratically back and forth to make it harder to shoot you from a distance if you're all over the place. So he did that while this crazy dude is on the side of the road shooting at him. He's running, and then a woman pulls up in like a minivan, and he's like flagging her down, and she stops, and he's like, asking her to let him in. I mean, that's a tough one, like you who wants to get involved in some craziness? You don't know really what's going on, but she lets him in, and he gets in the van, and they take off. And then she takes him right to the first police station, and he tells them all about it. And, the guy was crazy shooting at him and stuff, but, they weren't going to do anything about it for whatever damn reason. So they didn't do anything about that. But then later, Paul Onions was a huge witness in the trial, because he was there with Milat in the car, or the little Jeep thing he drove. Could describe everything, very, very, and the way he handled it with the gun and running away and all that. So that was a huge one. So they went back and dug that interview out, and called him, flew him back over, and that's what they did. But really, really interesting, the Paul Onions part of the story. Awesome to see somebody get away from some craziness like this, with Milat. But he never confessed, even on his deathbed in 2019. He dies of cancer. Police, though, suspected his involvement in other disappearances across Australia. And I saw a wide range of estimates. And sometimes I take those with a grain of salt, because who really knows, right? But I will say that he was 45, I believe, when I did the math, 45 when he started. And I find it very, very hard to believe that a serial killer would wait till he was 45 to start doing what he was doing, especially given the fact that he had all kinds of opportunities there with all these tourists and this forest that was just, I mean, Google it, you'll see Belangolo. It's a kind of an interesting word, but it's beautiful out there and you could get lost out there. It's real easy. So he would take them to these remote parts where he knew, and he could torture them for days. They could scream all they want. Nobody's gonna hear it. Okay. So really, really awful. All right. But he never confessed. Some say that he confessed to his mother. He was very close to his mom, which is another serial killer trait. A lot of them are real close to their moms, um, sometimes because of the abusive dad, but not always, but often that happens. So he never confessed to publicly, but to his mother, apparently she was getting ill and she made the trip to visit him one last time. And she asked him, and he told her that yes, he did it. And she obviously told somebody because it's now a fact, but I don't know who she ended up telling because she didn't do it right away because everybody, of course, was wanting to know what was going on and that sort of thing. But yeah, he never confessed, and they think could be from two or three more to 50 more. I even saw one that said hundreds, but I don't believe that. That's like the Countess Bathory statistics of 900 or 1,000. I mean, that's just insane. So I don't know, but there's a wide range. Only because 45 years old is late. Usually they start, in their 20s, maybe into the 30s, but to go to 45, I find it hard to believe, especially from a troublemaker type who was always into mischief and doing things he shouldn't be doing. But he's arrested May 22nd of 94. They did a lot of surveillance on him, and then they had a bunch of evidence. The trial goes in 96. At that time, I don't know if it was still the largest murder trial in Australian history. Weapons, victims' belongings found in his home. There was also the victims' belongings found at other homes of his family. And so, did he do it to kind of disperse some of the evidence, or did he just didn't think he was going to get caught and he was just giving them out to, others in his kids and stuff that might want whatever he was getting? So I don't know. It's definitely a weird story for sure. Of course, the Paul Onions testimony was huge. Now the defense, they tried to put this off on the brothers. I can't remember the name of the brother that he was trying to pin it on one of the brothers, but they convicted him, and he gets 7 consecutive life sentences, one for each victim, without parole. Without parole. So that I don't know that Australia does that very often. So that's a big deal, right? He needs to be there. He was imprisoned at Goulburn Correctional Center and then later in Long Bay. That's where he passed. He did try to escape, apparently. Did all kinds of crazy stuff with hunger strikes, the denial of guilt. He was just doing all kinds of crazy stuff to get out of there. I mean, he really was over the top, but he never got away. But died October 27th of 2019 of cancer, age 74. So that's the backpacker killer. Now, the movie I was talking about that was inspired by this, so it's not like a factual story, but it's good, called Wolf Creek. Definitely check it out. I'm not sure what platforms it's on, but well worth watching if you're at all interested in this, because it gets into some of this stuff. And, definitely, some of it was correct, but not all of it. It's a show. All right. It's a movie. Definitely changed the perception in Australia of hitchhiking. I would friggin' think so. I mean, god dang. And also prompted a lot of reforms of police investigation, forensic methods, trying to kind of up their game a little bit, and ongoing debates about possible accomplices that people feel maybe he was not alone, but we don't know. And there were some unconfirmed victims that they really couldn't pin on him. They didn't have the evidence. But, the troubled childhood, the escalation, we see that all the time, that petty theft, then arson and all these other things, it just keeps mounting until it gets to ultimate, which would be murder. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. But Paul Onions, like I said, awesome, cool name, love onions, but a real hero because he put an end to this nonsense. All right. Now, there's another quick story I wanted to tell you about this. Ivan Milat's nephew. Okay, if you start getting into the Milat stuff, like I said, these Australians are wild. If you start getting into the Milat stuff, you're going to see this. His nephew murdered his friend with an axe, I believe. I mean, gruesome. Matthew Milat. And there's video of him, like this kid that was with him had his phone out, and he's talking all this crap about, his uncle, Ivan, and, like he's the next one and all this kind of stuff, and that he's going to take, his place and all this crap, and talking all this smack, and then winds up killing this dude on his birthday. They took him out there to, go, I don't know what they were going to do, smoke weed or something. But anyway, he ends up getting hacked to death with an axe. I mean, just crazy. So that's an interesting sidekick there. But that was in 2010 that he did that. And they lured the 17-year-old schoolmate and into the Belangolo State Forest. Who the hell would go to the Belangolo State Forest with anybody with the last name of Milat? I don't know, but there's no way in hell I'd be doing it. Okay. So yeah, just insane that this kid even agreed to go with these two, because it was Cohen Klein. He was also somewhat involved because they lured the kid out there. And David Archer, it's a interesting last name, Ockertoloni. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. So they take him out there, and this kid's 17th birthday, and then Matthew Milat attacks him with a double-bladed axe, like medieval style. And Klein recorded the killing on his mobile phone. So yeah, if you watch some of the videos on it, they show some of this. Not obviously the axe hitting the kid, but some of it you get to see. You could hear a lot of it. They have audio too of him talking. Matthew reportedly gloated afterwards, saying, the last name Milat, I did what they do. That was his saying there. An idiot. Gets sentenced to 43 years in prison with a non-parole period of 30 years. So he's got to do at least 30. But, man, received, it says here, 32 years with a minimum of 22. So I'm not sure that's, I guess, the way they do it there in Australia. So 22 years is at a minimum. But he got a 32-year sentence. And I would definitely check out, this story too if you're interested in the Milats. But Matthew became notorious in prison for a bizarre obsession with witchcraft and the 1996 teen film The Craft. and other inmates were kind of freaking out apparently. So that sounds interesting. So yeah, what a crazy story that is with those people over there. So what do you guys think about the Milats, especially Ivan, doing that with the paralyzing them so they couldn't move and then doing all that torture? I see my mom is here. What's up, mom? See HVAC works. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see, my mom is always a celebrity. My mom is always a celebrity. Mom, you got to check out this shirt. Nobody's been able to name who this is. I'm curious if anybody knows the name of this guy, either his real name, he's passed now, his real name, or his name, the character name that he's portraying right there. But we did have correctly, Donna, I believe, said The Sopranos. So she's correct. She's correct. But yeah, HVAC works is twisted stuff. I mean, yeah, that's gruesome. I mean, the torture stuff is so hard to just fathom. Like I had an instance. It's in my book that I just finished writing, actually. At Death's Door, where I talk about a procedure that they did on me in my hospital room with nothing but I can't remember the name of it now, Percocet maybe, something strong, a tablet, and I was told to chew on it because to get it in my system faster because they were getting ready to do this. I'm like, what? And they had to get I had my stump was infected and I was in unbelievable pain. It was burning. It was really bad. So they had to go in there and take the infection, as much of the infection out, like manually. I'll leave it there. And then they were going to, have it tested to see, what's in the infection so they know what kind of antibiotic to put you on. And they did this by squeezing my leg and then collecting it as it came out. And oh my God. And it went on for probably a half hour. And I was screaming. I mean, I couldn't believe the cops didn't show up the way I was screaming in that room. But I told them never again are you going to do that to me. If I would have known that, there's no way in hell I would have said yes. Especially you could have done a something through the IV, like something real strong. Then I would have been, I guess, it still would have been terrible, but at least it wouldn't have been quite as bad. But, I mean, that was horrible. And then a couple of days later, I ended up going they took me into surgery to do it under, full anesthesia. I was asleep. And then he ended up taking out like half the staples to do it. So then some of them were taken off and then fully got all the infection out and everything. And I ended up, coming out of it and went on, but it was brutal. It was brutal. So yeah, up. I see somebody. HVAC. Um, oh yeah, Paulie Walnuts. You got it. HVAC works. You got to send me an email to Pete at murdermetalmayhem.com with the in the subject line, write sticker, and I'll send you one of these, and I'll send you the die cut sticker that's over. I always get it reversed with the with with this the die cut sticker that's over here on the piano. All right. So I also got a sticker of the Paulie Walnuts. It actually fell down. It was next to the hat, but it fell back. But I got a sticker because if you buy T-shirts from T Public, I love this. For most T-shirts, they offer a sticker of the same thing for like $1 more, $1.50 more, something like that. And if it's something that I like, I'll get it because I'm always looking for stuff like for the laptop, or I'm gonna do a Murder Metal Mayhem. I just got a new van. I'm gonna put one of these in the on the back of the van, Murder Metal Mayhem, and I'm gonna put the Polly Walnuts on there, and I might do an army one too. I'm not sure, but yeah, love doing that kind of stuff. I used to go to a gym, and you got all these people that are like got to have the most current things, and they're all dressed up, and it's ridiculous. It's just to me it was like this big status thing, and I didn't get it because I was just there in a concert shirt and a pair of black shorts to work out, but these people were like all decked out in this gear, but they were had all the stickers on the back of their cars with the 26.2 and all that, and I didn't know what that meant. Then I found out, okay, it's these races, obviously the marathon, and then they have the half marathon and all these other ones. So I was driving somewhere and I saw this vehicle with zero point 0.0 on in the back, a sticker that looked like those type of stickers. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I went on Amazon. Sure enough, bam, easy to find. So I got one and I put it on mine. And I used to work with a lady that ran and was like super into that stuff. And I'm not saying anything against it, but when it's kind of like this whole, hoity-toity type thing, then it becomes more of an annoyance than anything. But yeah. Oh, my mom says, "Oh my God, yeah, that was brutal in the room," and yeah. Isla Shoal says that's awful. Yeah, it was awful. It was. Overall, I was really happy with the care. I've been very happy with the care I've gotten. That was a civilian hospital, by the way. The VA does a thing called care in the community, and if they don't have the specialty or whatever that you need within a certain mile radius, excuse me, which is a small radius, by the way, you could go on this. You could have it done in a civilian hospital or doctor or whatever, and then the VA pays for it. And with my disability rating, I'm 90% disabled according to the VA. So they at that level, I could go. I don't even have to call them. I just go and I tell them to bill the VA. It's yeah, and I end up getting a phone call from them just to make sure that everything from the VA saying we got contacted, blah blah blah. You're in the hospital, okay? Just letting you know. So just kind of touching base, which is cool, and then that's it. Never hear another thing about it. So the VA has been absolutely unbelievable, and letting me go to the civilians is cool too, because the next VA hospital is like an hour and a half away. So, but appreciate all the hugs and very cool, bro. I so will. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Put your, if you want to, put your phone number on there in that email. I might give you a call one of these days. You might see big bald guy come across your phone and you're like, oh shit, it's that dude. But no, send me your phone number with that, okay? Because I appreciate your support. You've been here all the time. Plus, HVAC workers are amazing. Some of my friends are HVAC workers, and you guys do the yeoman's job in the friggin' cold and the heat and everything else, providing us residents with warmth and cool in the summer. And I applaud anybody that works in any of the trades, but the HVAC, yeah, that's awesome. So the email is pete@murdermetalmayhem.com. Very cool. Okay, we got somebody else needs some stickers too. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a question for you at the end, and we'll have a few of these, maybe three. I'll give three of these away. Got to be US though, okay? Because postage is just absolutely brutal. Even US now is going up. It's like crazy. But then again, what isn't, right? Going up. It's just insane. Um, yeah, HVAC. Where, dude, that's where I've gotten a lot of my stories. But see, when I used to teach classes for safety, I had a lot of obviously guys like you. So a lot of maintenance guys at like schools. A lot of those guys were HVAC guys or plumbers, maybe now and then an electrician, but all the different trades, I trained. And I used to love the stories about it. And I used to have to, because of my job back in the day, I had to crawl through crawl spaces and tunnels. And oh, yeah, I mean, I've crawled every inch of a school tunnel system before with a very narrow, really creepy. I mean, you could definitely get claustrophobic down there. So, yeah, I completely get it. And yeah, like I said, I salute you. So thank you for what you do. Let's see. Yeah, Donna's agrees. They're so needed. They are. I mean, my God, what will we do? I mean, man, the heat in the winter. I mean, geez, I couldn't even imagine. Some of these stories you read of these people that are out sleeping in tents and stuff. With man, I don't know how that. It's crazy. What I don't understand is the people that do that and they do it in cold weather areas. Now I realize that they don't have the money to like jump on a bus and go somewhere warm, but wouldn't you at least start like hitchhiking that way? I mean, to me, if I was going to be in that situation, I'd want to get to the warmest place I could find within reason or whatever temperature I liked, and that's where I would go. I mean, I can't imagine they're doing it in these places where it gets down to zero or lower. I mean, geez. I know in basic training, the last week of the basic training, they have a thing where you go to the field for a week and they take us out in the woods. We were driving our Bradleys around the little tanks, smaller tanks that I used to drive. It was a Bradley fighting vehicle, it was like a reconnaissance tank. And so we were driving these things around and it was real muddy. So it was just a mess. And it was a good learning experience, but it never got above zero. Where was it? Fort Knox in Kentucky, but it never got above zero. So, whew, very, very cold, especially being in a metal tank. Not a lot of warmth going on in there. So yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, here we go. HVAC worker. I was working on a rooftop unit the other day in a big commercial unit. I opened the hatch and a homeless dude ran out. Wow. Yeah, I've run into a lot of homeless as well. I had a camera, like back when you used cameras. I was doing a building inspection in a really nasty part of town. And I had my camera out and some other paperwork, and this homeless dude was in there, and he gets up and he grabs the camera. He's like, "Oh, that's where I left my camera." I'm like, "No, hell no." And had to wrestle it out of his hands and told him I was calling the cops, and he ended up running away. But it was just nuts. Yeah. And I've had a guy try to throw me off a balcony, 3 stories high at an apartment complex. A crackhead came at me, hit me full chest, and went up against the balcony, almost flipping over, but ended up not. But if we would have flipped over, I could have damn well, or I would have damn well put him under me. I would have landed on him, which would have been, we would have both been dead. But, that would have been a brutal way to go, I guess. So, yeah, Donna says she sees him in New York City. Yeah, I used to, whenever I went to the city, I used to see that stuff too. It's rough. And, Chicago, same type of thing. LA, any of the big cities, right? Any of the big cities are going to have that kind of stuff going on. But but yeah, that's the story of Ivan Milat. I did want to check something real quick. I'm googling something. Um, okay, yeah, I had an idea of who I was going to do next time, but I wanted to verify the name because it's been a bit. But next week we're going back to the United States. We're going to the state of Connecticut, where I used to live. You don't hear a lot of serial killers from Connecticut, but I was thinking today, Mom, my mom and I are going to eventually, here soon, do one of these together. How cool would that be? My mom's going to come on and do a serial killer story hour. And I thought, Mom, how cool would this be to do it with the Richard Kraft, the Kraft murder, the wood chipper murder in Connecticut, which my mom has some inside info, and that would be great to do the wood chipper murders. I know he's not a serial killer, but what a brutal story, putting his wife through a wood chipper. But my mom has some inside baseball on that. So how awesome would that be? My mom and I doing one of these together. I really look forward to that. And she's down. She's ready. So the wood chipper murder would be a good one for us to do, Mom. So awesome. I see your comment. Very good. So let's give away. Got about 8 minutes left here. Let's give away a few of these stickers. So let me see. I want to give you a good question, but nothing too crazy. What was the? No, I don't know if you'll be able to spell it. Probably butcher it. It's okay that you do. Yeah, Juan says that would be cool. Mama A, what's up, Juan? What's up? So let's say, what was the name of the forest? Spelling doesn't count. What was the name of the forest where Ivan Milat did his dirty work? What was the name of that forest? I'll give you a minute. If anybody knows, you're in the U.S., comment, and I'll give you a Murder Metal Mayhem sticker. Okay? So that's giving away a few of these. I like doing giveaways and stuff. So anybody want to guess? But next week, yeah, William Devon Howell, the Connecticut serial killer, is going to be wicked. He called himself Sick Ripper. It's kind of a funny and gory story at the same time. But this dude is like the poster child of the creepy dude in the van. Okay. And he did all his dirty work in the van, and it's creepy. He murdered many of them, and he put them in an area and referred to it as his garden, and it was really really twisted. So he wanted them close to him, so he buried him in his garden. It's really messed up. I think the book on him is called His Garden or something about the garden. So William Devon Howell, we're going to do that one. Sounds like a character on Gilligan's Island, Mr. Howell. Maybe it's his long lost nephew, but no, this dude's nuts. Okay, so we're going to do that next week. Straight up serial killer. We'll do that one next week, and then I'll keep you posted on the one I'm going to do with my mom, and that'll be fun for us to do for you guys. So, does anybody have anything? Anybody have anything that they want to talk about here as we end this up? Okay, HVAC. I'm going to give you that one. I know you're already getting a sticker. I'll just throw an extra one in there for you. Belangolo. Okay, I know. So HVAC worker got Belangelo. Yeah. It's a weird name. It's a weird name. So, all right. Well, that's what I got for tonight. We'll do William Devon Howell next week. I am going to be give it to redacted. What was that one? I'm sorry if I missed somebody. Give it to redacted. All right, redacted. You go ahead and send me an email, pete@murdermentalmayhem.com. I'll send you a sticker too. All right. You missed the beginning. That's cool. All right. I'm going to give everybody. It's the Christmas time, right? We want to be giving away Christmas cheer here. What's the email address? Pete@murdermentalmayhem.com. I know I'm not the best at sending these out. It's just because I can't just get in the car and go anymore. So, and my wife works a schedule that the post office is closed when she's, off work. So it's just, it's hard for us to get over there. And they're only open for a couple of hours on Saturday, and that's it. So it's hard for me to do that. I used to be over there usually a couple times a week, and I just can't do it because I can't go anywhere yet, unless somebody takes me there. So, all right, very cool. I think I'm all caught up. So we'll see you guys Saturday, 4:00. It's going to be me and A.R. Hayes for a live. We're going to do an open discussion on true crime. Got some good ones. Going to talk about that Green River Killer. Thanks to Alicia from Misleading Evidence for sending me the link. Green River Killer on his deathbed. So that's good because he's a piece of garbage. There's another more stuff on that David case I'll talk about. So we're going to talk about some different subjects. Like I said, we're not doing Idaho 4 unless there's some kind of earth-shattering update with it. Just not going to do it. So hopefully you like that. And we're going to talk about AR's new series, Walking Amongst Killers, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, he did the one on the baseline shooters. What a great videos he did on that. If you're not familiar with that case in Phoenix, but the baseline killers, he was in the same jail with them side by side, one on each side of his cell. So it's very, very, captivating to hear his rendition of, what these guys were like, So pretty interesting. So we'll do that on Saturday at 4:00. That'll be fun. And the week after that, I'm going to have Misleading Evidence on with me. And we're going to do the live on the following Saturday. So I'll have to get with her and see if she has any ideas of things she wants to get in. But I love doing that kind of stuff, especially, like I said, this time of year, try to be a little more cheerful. So Paulie Walnuts and I will see you on Saturday. I'm not sure if I'm going to wear the Paulie Walnuts. I also got an Ed Gein shirt, like the original, not the silly Netflix thing, but the original. So maybe I'll wear that. I don't know. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot. And horns high.
He got you fired up and thinking you earned a nice cold beer or beverage of choice. Or if the greenery is what you dig, I hope it's moist. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a word in the comments. It helps the video grow. Hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with the middleman today. Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park. We all know that hussy who can get the whole part scratching. Hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with my Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park. Like a case of crack in a trailer park.